The next segment we're going to talk about is Chuck Wagon kitchen class. We brought in our specialist, large equipment specialist, and I'll let him introduce himself, Mr. Rick Mosier.
Okay, I've worked for Martin Brothers and with Don. Don's been there about 13 years. I've been there about 23. I was with another company before called H&H Food Service, which some of you might have known. They're defunct now, but so I've been doing layout and design of kitchens for all kinds of aspects for about 35 years. So I was in the restaurant business for 13 years in a pizza shop in 1984 after I went broke farming. And we did that for 13 years, and then we spun off and we actually manufactured frozen pizzas for about 10 years. And so sold those businesses off. I worked for food service companies also while I was doing that. And 12 years ago, after working for Martin Brothers, which has a lot of healthcare facilities, I bought a Land's End facility that had been closed for 10 years and remodeled it into an assisted living facility. So my wife runs that now, and we have 35 rooms. It's a different type of food service than being in the restaurant business. So anyway, I have quite a bit of background in actually cooking and serving food from the restaurant, and I also work in the assisted living on holidays and stuff. So anyway, what we're going to talk about today is just some ideas whether or not you already have food at your campground or your resort, or you don't and you're interested in getting into it. We do design layout on two different methods. We do it on a design build where we have it where, if you're going to get into it new, like build a new facility or add on or take your existing facility and remodel it. We do it on a design build where we would come in and do some consulting work for you. You sign a contract. If you don't buy any equipment from us, then you have to pay us, and it's usually about 7%. So if you were looking at $50,000 worth of equipment, you would owe us $3,500. If you buy the equipment from us, you don't owe us anything. So like most architects, it doesn't matter where you're buying it, and most food service consultants, which there is no college or any degree to have that, most of those people actually are less qualified. The questions to ask are, have you actually ran a DFAT or have you actually served people, so forth. There's a lot of people out there that just hang up a sign and that's what they say they're doing. So the one method was design build. The other one is that we would do work for you at the 7% cost. So if we designed a kitchen for you, and then we did all of the specifications, and it came up to the total was 50 grand, then you'd owe us 3,500, and you go shop wherever you want. Even on the design build, you can shop wherever you want. If you want to go and buy it all off the internet, you go right ahead and do it, which then you would owe us the fee for our time and effort. So we do a lot of design build because we have a lot of customers who just trust us. They're already buying all their groceries from us, so forth. But I heard Don when I was out in the hall, and he was talking about his services, how he would come to your place and help you and would want grocery business. I don't care. I sell equipment and I do projects for people who are not our customers. So if you got a resort someplace and you're looking at adding on a kitchen and getting into more food, I don't care if you're buying food from us or not. I'll still come see you, because hopefully if I do a good job, then maybe it rolls into the food business or janitorial or other aspects. But I have a lot of customers that don't buy food from us. Some of them are out of our range, some don't buy enough product, whatever. So that's just a little difference between us two, when when we're doing our consulting work. So anyway, we're going to talk about a few things, and some of you that have food, you probably already know about some of these. We've had some developments in the last few years about these quick ovens, like you'll see in Subway or Blimpie or some of those, where they're putting your sandwich into an oven if you want it toasted. Does not require a hood. And of course, I think in you guys' aspect, a lot of places, the cost of a hood system is probably like $25,000. So you want to get into food, or you want to add a little more food, you can only do so many things, because without adding that hood, you put the hood in, you can have fryers and ovens and the whole 9 yards. But without it, you used to be stuck basically with, I think they're called auto fry or perfect fry. I ran a quote on 2 of those. I don't know if you know about perfect fry or not. Does anybody have perfect fry? Less expensive machine by quite a bit. The auto fry actually takes the product and you put it in the end and it comes out the other end done. The perfect fry, you put it in, you close the door, and it cooks the product, and then it lifts the baskets up. You take, so they don't continue to cook. But they're less money and they take up less counter space, so forth. So I've never been in that business where we've sold these to convenience stores before, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've never operated either one of those 2. But when I look at the cost of them, and I'm a cheap savvy guy, if I were doing it, I think, when it comes to volume, of course, the perfect fry doesn't handle as much, but.
That's why I got 2.
You got 2, sure. Yep. So, back to the quick ovens. Don and some of our other people are having a booth here, and they're going to have this Mary Chef oven. There's 2 or 3 different brands. The Mary Chef is the one that we're going to bring to the show, and it has a magnitude of a lot of stuff. That you can cook in it. It's microwave technology. It's convection. It can do both at once. It can do either, and it has some impingement, which is like for pizza stuff. There's different models of these, and I'll hand out some brochures if you're interested, or they're up here. Some of these will cook a pizza in like 2.5 minutes. So if you're using a toaster oven and it's taking forever and you're checking on it and whatever, actually the first place I ever saw them was on a cruise ship. Then Vulcan Hart, which is a big company that makes major equipment, they had like 4 or 5 of them on there. And if you've been on a cruise and there's kids on there and guys like me that want to eat a lot of pizza, they're throwing the pie out like you can't believe. And so being an old pizza guy, I had stone oven and I also had conveyor. I was like, I couldn't believe how fast they could cook them. Well, when you put that technology together, microwave, impingement, and convection, it's quick. So, if you guys are having some sort of pizza operation, that's a real key deal, because somebody comes into your place and they want to order one, take it back to their trailer. It's going to be super fast. You're going to stick it in there, push the button, and boom, it's done. So we thought it was a real unique item. It does not require a hood. I don't know, you guys going to be cooking some product? They're actually going to be cooking product in it, so you'll be able to see the results of, how things. What all you?
We're going to do crisp cut fries, so you can see what fries are like. A lot of people ask me, when are they going to come out with commercial air fryers? Because everybody's using air fryers at home, no grease, it's all healthy, everything's beautiful. These are the reason they don't come out with commercial air fryers, because like Rick said, you can take a 16-inch pizza from frozen in 2 minutes and it's done, 2.5 minutes. But we'll also be doing chicken wings, chicken drummies, and so we'll be programming for those. That they hold up to 1,024 recipes. I'm just going to mention real quickly that fortunately the appetizer companies and the pizza crust companies and other things are working with Turbo Chef and Mary Chef so that you have the programming available to you online, because anybody that has a Turbo Chef now, they go, holy crap, how do I program this thing? This thing's a monster.
But it has a USB port.
It has, yeah, the old ones have a large card. Quick Trip sells their old ones, and then people get, I got it for $100. Well, that's a great deal. Now, how are you going to program it? They have 4 Turbo Chefs in every store.
4 Turbo Chefs. So everything you see in there is being cooked in those ovens.
Everything.
So back to what you're saying, I actually have one there. But the problem is with them, where you're not talking about a commercial unit, is the amount of time it takes to cook stuff. I mean, tater tots are taking me like 7 minutes at home at 400. And then I also look at it and I go, when is this thing going to burst into flames? Because it's plastic. I don't even understand how legally they can have them, you know? My wife unplugs it all the time. She thinks it's going to come on at night and burn up, which you don't know. So, you know, your health inspector people and stuff, of course, you know, we've all done, there's a lot of people that do things that aren't under the health inspector, and then when they come back, you know, you hide it when they're there or whatever. But, I mean, you know, so.
That happens? What?
So this would be, you know, where you would be legal to do it. The other thing that people don't understand, when I come into places and do assessments, I'll do assessment on a nursing home, let's just say, and I walk in and I go, you can't have all those wooden cabinets. And they go, well, why not? We've had them, whatever. And I go, you can go ahead, I don't care. But they're illegal, and a lot of it has to do, not so much with the food inspector, it has to do with insurance. I mean, I think if any of you have hood systems and stuff, it's got a lot worse. They know that the best way to get rid of a bad restaurant is to burn it. So they want all that fire equipment up to par, sprinkler systems, the whole 9 yards. It's not the health people, it's the insurance people. So when it comes to using home model stuff, we used to do, well, a couple examples I used to do is, oh, you want to go buy a bunch of cheap chairs for your restaurant? You go to Walmart and you buy those plastic chairs like you're using outside on the patios. One of those snaps and that leg goes up a guy's back and it paralyzes him. You got nothing. You are in big trouble because that's not a commercial grade chair being used in a business. Microwaves, go to Walmart. I shouldn't say this, but my assisted living, I have one, a Walmart microwave in there. But we've always preached, they gotta be NSF, they gotta be UL approved, they gotta be, you know, it's just like deep freezes that you have, same thing. They're supposed to be UL, NSF, because, and they do make commercial deep freezes. They're probably a couple $100 more than what you buy at Walmart, but it all boils down to if you don't ever have an accident, then you don't have a problem. But as soon as you got somebody who's sick and they send their lawyer in there and they come in and investigate the thing, now you're in trouble because you were doing that, getting by. So that's kind of the pitch behind sticking with commercial equipment. The time factor cooking is the biggest thing. You can put out the product, you know, so where are you at here?
Well, to me, there has to be a return on investment. And
Right.
on every project, and it's got to be, you know, based on your budget and your menu choices. Rick wouldn't design a kitchen for you until he knew and understood what kind of items were on your menu.
Right. We usually start with the menu. We have corporate chefs that could design a menu for you, whatever you want on it, but they would help you. Once we know what those items are, then we know how we got to prepare them. We basically go from there to the design to, you know, being open. So Don's, you know, right about return on investment, but goes back to having, if you want to have just a small little setup, you only have so many people that are staying at your place, you know what your volume is. So if you have the ability, I was up snowmobiling here a couple weeks ago, went to probably 40 resorts. I drank at every one of them, but I only ate at like a couple of them. But I see the magnitude of people that there are going to these places, you know, on the trails and stuff, and it's pretty phenomenal the amount of people that there are when it's, you know, 5 below zero. So they're still packing it. So, and I looked at some of the cooking setups that they had, and, you know, they put out a lot of product in a small space. So, but
Well, you know, I also look at efficiency. One of my jobs at Quick Trip was to design and lay out stores by perishability, profitability, and impulse, okay? There's a reason for the location of all things, and so is equipment. Obviously, your appetizer freezer should be close to your auto fry or your fryer because you want to be able to, when the customer puts that order in, you want that, if that's a 3 or 4 minute fry, you want that thing out there to them in 5 minutes. The faster you turn over that order, the more orders you're going to get. So,
Right.
so I added in here productivity of kitchen staff will consistently be less when located in a backroom kitchen. Does everybody understand that? When you can't see them, you don't know what they're doing.
That's in every business.
It is, it is. And so, you know, in a new designed kitchen, obviously your highest usage, if the bartender might be the cook, you know, in some cases, you'd want that fryer to be for appetizers as close to the door as you can get it to get them in and out of there. And then I just added cross-trained employees will increase efficiency and interchangeability. One of the things that always made me angry was a bartender that says it's not my job to cook, or a cook says it's not my job to bartend. Baloney. You should be able to do both. So, kitchen design by electricity, you know, 100 amp service, 200 amp service, what do you run into, Rick, in that situation?
Well, that's, you know, a lot of the cost of getting into other food, like let's say these speed ovens, they're all 220. So it's not as easy as just bringing it in and setting it on the counter and, you know, plugging it in. You're going to have some costs of some electrical, you know, to make that happen. And hopefully, I mean, it would be something you'd want to check ahead of time to make sure that you have the ability to add that service, you know, that your panel's not all full. So another thing about, back to the quick oven, and another segment we were talking about is panini grills. That's a big deal. We do a lot of bistros in these healthcare facilities, and they don't have any hood, and a lot of them use these products. And the panini grill, whether you have one or not, have you ever been to a Blimpies? That's the way they toast their sandwiches. They don't toast them in the Turbo Chef like Subway does. When you get a toasted sandwich from them, they make the sandwich, and you take it in there and they bring it down like a Cuban press type sandwich. Or they'll lay the bun on there upside down. It's basically a glorified George Foreman. But back to, you can buy George Foreman and you can do it, and it's going to last for a month. You're going to be out of code, insurance problems. These are really inexpensive. And so let's just go back to what you were saying about bartender making food. And I know how it goes. You know, they're tending bar and you get to order cheese nuggets. You go over to the auto fry, you dump them in, you go back, you make a couple drinks, you come back and they're in the thing. The only problem with that is it limits what you can do. It's your appetizers. You know, you have a few sandwiches that you can serve where you could put a tenderloin in there, but it's all deep fat fried food. So we were just talking here about, you know, the world's coming to be a lot more healthy. We're still in, I'm from Iowa, but we're still in Wisconsin, Iowa, the Midwest, where, you know, we're really meat driven here. But you're going to start getting a lot more people that are coming to the lodges and stuff where people want a little healthier thing for their kids or whatever. Where you go to a panini grill or the speed oven, then you could have, you know, any and all sandwiches that are, you know, like meat sandwiches, basically like Blimpie would have or Subway, where you don't have that ability with the deep fat fryer option. So my concept on that, on a cheap end of doing it, is you buy a prep table, like a 27-inch little prep table with your ingredients in the top. You get bread from your distributor from the grocery store, and then you make up the sandwiches, and then if they want it to be toasted, put it right into here. Or if you have the ability that you're going to buy that bigger oven, which you can put hamburgers and brats and all kinds of stuff in. This would not have the ability to do that, but it still gives you the ability to make a grilled cheese sandwich, maybe with tomatoes on there, whatever. So that's a cheap setup, real cheap thing to add. Those are 110. Some different ones are. They make bigger ones, so your volume gets a little bigger. But it gives you the ability to have some more fresher type sandwiches than just having the deep fat fried food and pizzas and stuff. So kind of an idea for when you call it Chuck Wagon Kitchen or whatever, you know, small space that you have that you could convert into a small little sandwich area, you know, so.
It doesn't take a lot of square footage to.
No.
And I had a 3-foot prep table down here. You mentioned 27 inches, I think.
Yep.
That little prep table has a refrigerated space in the bottom and really doesn't, you know, can hold everything you need for almost a week. You don't have to have a huge walk-in cooler in order to accommodate a menu of 5 panini sandwiches.
Right.
You could take your ice cream shop that you already have and just do paninis out of that ice cream shop if it's separate from your restaurant, okay? And offer something hot to go in addition to your cold ice cream. Create trendy items not associated with the bar and grill. It's almost like the ability to have another business. Like Rick mentioned, you know, your healthier items that people are looking for. You could do, one of the best sandwiches I ever made on a panini is a wild rice and cranberry bread with Bordeaux cherry mayonnaise with brie cheese, turkey, and Granny Smith apple slices. I'm telling you, it sounds crazy, but it's one of the best sandwiches I've ever made. And who else in town's got that little bad boy? Nobody. So you can appeal to your younger crowd, young families, that kind of thing, with a panini press with, like Rick said, no hood, 110, and do a good job with it. It's all about the training. And it allows you to operate without a hood. That same prep table that you have some of your veggies and things in can be used for a small salad, a small sandwich. If we create multiple recipes within using the same ingredients, then you, like we talked about earlier, going to turn those faster.
Right. And I see you put on there Generation Z and whatever.
Yeah, millennials and Generation Zs are more likely to purchase a panini than a burger. Pardon?
Who's Generation Z compared
Generation
to
Z is 25 and younger.
Oh.
We have one Generation Z there that I... And... Oh, I'm sorry. We could have several.
It is crazy. I mean, just in my life, I go pick up my granddaughter who's 4 at preschool, and I go by a Burger King and I go by a McDonald's and there's a Subway, and I'm supposed to take her and get her something to eat before she goes home. So she gets in the car and I go, "Where do you want to go?" And she goes, "I want to go to Subway." And I thought, I don't want to go to Subway. I mean, I want to go McDouble. But it's getting more ingrained in their mind and whatever to be healthy. And she knows exactly what she's getting there. I mean, it's just kind of bizarre. It's a lot easier. Well, and then, of course, you got to get out of the car, which I don't like either. But so that's kind of what we're talking about, is the fact that it is changing. And these little kids are really, a lot of them, they're into more healthy stuff. And so I think that would give you the ability to, go ahead.
I know this is on equipment, but my question is on technique. So I don't eat paninis nor ever made them, but I don't know what kind of bread to buy. Are you putting a butter spray on it, or is it just going dry bread, or can you get your hamburger bun in there? Just 2 seconds on that. Like,
Yeah, I can speak to that. I use real butter, and I butter both sides. I use parchment paper in the panini press so that none of your food comes in contact with the panini metal. Okay, Otis Spunkmeyer has papers for their cookies for their little ovens that fit perfectly in a panini press. There's your, what do they call that? Tip of the day, or a hack, life hack? Yeah, yes. So anyway, yeah, so butter both sides. In the case of something that melts slowly, like one of my customers had a cheese store, and their #1 panini sandwich was a cheese curd and bacon sandwich.
That's healthy.
Rich's, yeah, but it's on 12 grain bread. So, to answer your question, not every bread works well. A heavier, Rich's has 2 kinds of an Italian and a 12 grain bread. That wild rice and cranberry from Franklin Bakery out of Chicago is an excellent choice. It does take a heavier bread, and you do want to, like with the cheese curds, they would actually microwave those for 20 seconds to get them nice and soft, before they went on top of the 5 slices of bacon that go in that healthy sandwich. So that way it's browning on the outside, okay? And that's really all you're doing in a panini press is heating up the protein and the, you know, and the cheese and whatever else you put in there. But you want it to be, you know, an edible temperature. Some people crisscross. You know, you get marks from the panini press on one way. Some people will halfway through the process open it up, turn it, and then do crisscross on that panini. And when that's done, it's done. Some people serve the sandwich with the parchment paper in the basket after they cut it. Some people use the same panini or the same parchment paper, okay, for multiple sandwiches. It will not burn. It will get very hot, and it will turn brown. So procedurally, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'd like to go back to your, that other oven thing you had there.
Sure, the Mary Chef.
That thing there, I mean, that picture obviously doesn't look like it holds a 16-inch pizza.
That one
That's
doesn't.
the small one.
That one's 14 inches wide by 23 inches deep and has a 12-inch cavity.
But you could put a regular 16-inch.
You can pass these around if you wanna.
Not in the one we have. We have this model,
You guys can share, kind of.
but they do make one that handles a 16.
Well, that same, you know, just like you can buy frozen cookies, Otis Goldfire, you can throw those in
couple
that
there.
machine. How long does it take to
Guys
cook
can-
the cookies? 'Cause we sell a ton of cookies.
Yes. It'll do them. It'll do them in, I want to say, about 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Depending on, there's an air adjustment. And there's 3 things you got to program in them. And we're very thankful when the manufacturers have already used their chefs and pre-programmed these bad boys. So all we got to do is punch those numbers in: amount of convection, amount of microwave, and amount of airflow.
Well, years ago, we used to have a rare cooker. You've heard of that?
I'm not-
Hot air, 30 miles an hour. About
Yeah.
30 years ago. Maybe they're not in business anymore.
And they might not be.
They work pretty good on sausages and hamburgers and fries. And I mean, this technology is way different now.
Right.
Right.
That being able to do a pizza, that's a big deal.
It is a
It
big
is
deal.
yeah, and it does a nice job too, nice and even.
The,
I mean,
the ones they came out with initially were too fast. They could do a 10-inch pizza from frozen in 1 minute. And you could see through the glass when it was cooking. We had one at a food show once. The toppings and the cheese literally lifted 6 inches off the top of the pizza when it was cooking and then settled back down again. Some of the pepperoni rolled to the side. Okay? That scared me. I was like, anything that heats that fast, that, you know. So they've tuned them up and made them better and do more browning now. They do more like crispiness on French fries. They're not going to be like they are out of your fryer. Nothing's going to be exactly like that, but they're going to be close. And
much
they're
more
going to be
healthy.
fast.
I mean, it's basically an air fryer like you got at home, but it's commercial, it's quicker, you know, and then it has the ability to do some microwaving also to speed that up. So I just ran some stuff, you know, something else on the pizza end of things. If, you know, these ovens, the low end model of these is close to $4,000 and the top end model's 10. So it depends upon where you're at. I mean, there's a bunch of models in between there. But I also ran, because being an old pizza guy, I ran some like on Comstock Castle double slate ovens that are like, you know, that cook 2 14-inch pizzas at a time on a slate where they sit on a countertop. So you're, instead of using a toaster oven, you're using a slate deck oven that's, you know, it's got 2 doors. There's a pizza place, the guy used to work with me years ago. He had 3 or 4 places, and that's all they used. And it was TJ's Pizzas was the name of it. And he's still in business, but I couldn't believe that he didn't have a conveyor, or he didn't have, you know, like a big deck oven that will hold 6 16s. He used these slate small deck countertop ovens.
We bought the double turbo chef one.
Okay.
Friday nights, we make 50 to 60 pizzas in 3 hours, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. There's a testimony to it. So lot less, the other thing about old slate deck or that, you're always pulling it out and looking at it and putting it back in there. Where this is, you know, you're gonna set it and forget it. So,
Just put it in and push the button.
yep. So anybody, that bartender he was talking about that's going, I'm not gonna do that. It's a lot easier than doing this all the time and then spinning it inside a Tony's oven or whatever, so. you
Yes,
know,
sir.
Will this do like baked fish instead of deep fried fish for fish fries then?
Certainly. Yep. Yeah. I mean, each of them, the problem is when the manufacturer of the food, let's say Trident, doesn't have a chef tested recipe, then it's you and me burning up product until we figure it out. Or, you know, we can try to get you a free case or something to experiment with because we want it to be right when you roll it out. And blowing up a cod loin, you know, every 5 minutes is not that much fun. Yes?
Well, maybe some people already know this, and maybe some don't, because I had to learn when we had the quick and crispy, but your product has to be like an oven-ready product. Maybe some people don't understand that. But I didn't, you know, versus product that go right in the fryer versus stuff.
You're talking on perfect fries now?
No, like your, like, we had the
Quick and crispy was like-
Oh.
Weston produced a product.
Yes.
yeah,
That's why
they're
you
all
don't know that. So when you're
basically
talking about
pre-cooked product,
Right.
just like the hamburgers.
Well,
are
there's
pre-cooked.
fully cooked and then there's ovenable. When they say ovenable, that means it should by rights work in this equipment. By rights.
Right,
But they are fast. They're less than a Turbo Chef. They're easier to program, in my experience, than a Turbo Chef. And we'll cook some food up for you out there. We'll do some fries, we'll do some chicken drummies, and you be the judge of what you think. But they also have an ROI, you know, a return on investment. When you talk about the amount of pizzas that you go through, what would you do without that Turbo Chef? You'd have 6 stacked 6-foot slate ovens.
Last year we only had the one, and.
You just couldn't keep up.
Quick salad, and say, we're sorry, we're already out 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know, even though that was cooking about 3.5 minutes, it's still with one oven, so we went to the double.
Are you topping
We
your
still
own
got
then?
9.
Are you topping your own pizzas, or are you buying frozen? So you're using a frozen crust and you're topping it?
And topping right now.
That's a great problem to have.
Yes, sir.
We had, well, like today, we're gonna be eating lots of pizzas for dinner,
Yep,
or is it for lunch?
I see they're a vendor.
It must be for lunch because we're making dinner.
Anyway, you know, that company, typically your pizzas in the past were 12-inch.
Mm-hmm.
And this company went out and spent $30 million to build a factory to build 16-inch. Because with a 16-inch pizza in a campground, you could compete with the guy in town. Because the guy in town is delivering a 16-inch pizza.
Ah,
And so they made a good product. And I know we started, you know, they give you the pizza oven.
they give you a 16-inch toaster oven.
But you're gonna be 11 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can have 4 pizza ovens. And, you know, that's still 4 pizzas in 11 minutes, and you gotta have 4 circuits to run. So, when she said 50 pizzas, I mean, you can see, there's campgrounds that can do, we can do 50 pizzas too in a Friday night or a Saturday, but we're using 4 little ovens.
Right.
It's killing us.
Right. Well, there's your ROI. I mean, that's where at some point this is going to pay for itself in the 16-inch version
Right.
What?
and crank them out really
They
quickly.
don't have one that cooks to 16, do they?
Yeah, they actually, I did see a Mary Chef.
There's not one here.
14 is,
14?
14.
Okay.
Shop is 16, because we do 16.
When you say compete with a guy in town because you're going to 16, is that because they just want 16s?
Well, when you call a pizza place, they're not selling 12 pizza.
Because
Right.
They call and they're used
Is that the capacity size, yeah.
19
Yeah.
by 14.
By 14, so it's still.
Yeah.
Right.
When you
gotta handle a 16-inch round. Turbo Chef does, but Mary Chef doesn't.
In and out all the time.
Like you say, a lot of mom and pop shops that adjust.
I know.
16.
Right.
Like a lot of specialty shops in town.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
That nobody has, because the product is pretty good, you know.
You're talking about a local pizza shop, not like Casey's. Casey's only.
No, it's a retail, it's like
pizza
Tombstone.
I mean, I had 16-inch also. Yeah, we had 16.
We don't want our customers leaving the farm. I know that's not what you want.
Find a way to get some money from that pizza shop. I'll tell you, what I used to do with pizza at hotels, because I wanted all the hotel business. I was in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. A lot of hotels there. So what I did is I had those pizza toppers, the thing that you keep that keeps, we call them, they were like pizza tables or whatever.
Barbie doll tables, I
Yep.
call them.
I got a sticker made for the top of them. It said Red Heart Pizza on it. And then the deal was, of course, it worked better in a hotel because then when they were cleaning up the rooms, every one of those I'd give them $1 back for. So the owner of the hotel would say, don't throw those away. And then once every couple months, I'd come in to restock the menus and he'd have, 150 of those. And I'd give him 150 in cash and done.
Yeah.
But then he didn't want anybody else's menus in the room but mine, so. But for you, I get it with a campground. That's kind of tough to try to keep them from not, I bet they're peeling in and out of there like crazy, aren't they? Yeah. Huh. Maybe some of those nail strips weren't good. So did we decide 14 was it in that brand?
14 in the Mary
your
Chef,
Turbo Chef?
16 in the Turbo Chef.
Oh. And we don't care. We're only bringing this. We're not with Mary Chef Corporation.
We carry both.
Yeah, we sell both.
We sell
So-
both. We just know that if it's an $8,000 oven versus a $10,000 or $12,000 oven, that like the difference between a perfect fry and an auto fry.
Yeah.
We save you a couple grand and it's doing the same function. And then the reason we wanted to bring it up too is that creating a kitchen without a hood,
See, we listed
that's Mary Chef and Turbo Chef ovens, either one. There's a company called Deli Express. They make sandwiches and stuff for
They
C-stores.
used to be huge.
Deli Express uses all Mary Chef ovens. They started a bar program at one time for their pre-made sandwiches, so you could cook a burger in a Mary Chef, and it didn't do so well for them. There's nothing beats a fresh burger, okay? Or a fresh chicken sandwich or that kind of thing.
Henny Penny, you've heard of them?
Henny Penny is a
Yeah.
fryer for a chicken program. I am a self-proclaimed expert in chicken programs. And here's why. In the convenience store business, we do Chester fried chicken and Charlie Biggs chicken. So I train people to do chicken programs throughout. I've opened up a lot of them. And Henny Penny's been around forever. Broaster out of Beloit has their own distribution center and serves customers. Are we time-wise? Oh, okay. Anyway, they compete against us. So they want us to sell their product, their chickite, chicken and their broaster breading, and then they sell against us. So I don't like the way that works.
Anybody in
necessarily.
here have fresh chicken program?
Fresh.
Fresh? Yeah. Well, then I had it too, and I got into
I
it.
use Broaster because Broaster does not sell fresh chicken, it's all frozen.
Right.
They allowed me to buy my chicken elsewhere.
But you got to use their marinade and their breading and whatever, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, been in this business.
Talk to him.
Been in this business 13 years. I've ever yet to see a broaster person in one of my customers' restaurants in those 13 years. Never. Supporting the product, putting out, point of sale or that kind of thing. Maybe you guys have. I haven't. It's good chicken. There's nothing the matter with it. Real quickly, you know why it's so moist? Pressure cook, okay? When you know that chicken is about 10% or more injected with water. So what you're doing when you're putting fresh chicken in a broaster is you are pressure cooking that water out of the chicken and displacing it with oil. That's where that steam comes from
why
when
it's
you
so good.
open up the top of that broaster. Why is that chicken so moist? It's got oil in it. Of course it's going to be moist. So, you know, again, it's perceived healthy, but is it healthier than regular fried chicken? Heck no.
Your Chester Fried has a ventless fryer. I had one because I had a pizza shop and I wanted to get into chicken. So I bought one, had a ventless thing about it. I could do everything in there. I did mushrooms and I did onion rings, all this homemade stuff. We got into the whole gamut. But when you looked at the P&L at the end of the month, we made all our money on pizza because all this other stuff was labor intensive. You didn't get a lot of money for it. It took away from sales of pie. I can make a 16-inch pepperoni pizza in a minute. I got to go over there and I got to bread a bunch of onion rings and stick them in the fryer and I get $2.50 for it. What I was saying about the chicken thing, I'm just saying from experience. We got into it. It's a lot of work. You want to have good chicken and fresh chicken. It's a lot of work and there's a lot of bacteria. I mean, it's just, you got to be monitoring all that. So if you go with the stuff where it's pre-battered or frozen or whatever, it's not near as good, but the work to do it, you got to be committed to it. And you got to have employees that are willing to, you know, really work at that, you know.
We also do the roasted pork chops.
You do pork chops in there?
Yeah.
Yep.
We actually buy the loin and then cut our own chops.
You got a full-fledged restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just, I'm just saying from experience, he knows, and it's, you know, we got into it, I did it for like 4 years and I got out of it. I got to the point where I was just like, this is just, you know, you gotta filter all the oil all the time, it's a lot of effort. That's the other thing about this that we didn't talk about is when you're using these quick ovens and so forth, like that, you don't have any oil costs that you're gonna have if you got deep fat fryer. You don't have any filtration, you don't have to disposal. You know, you get into the oil game, now you're talking, you gotta be able to get rid of it, you got a disposal, you gotta filter it all the time. It's dangerous. You know, I saw a kid actually drain a fryer into a plastic 5-gallon container, hot, and was talking to a guy, and I looked over there, and the thing was like the Wicked Witch of the West. It was just, and then he grabbed the top of it, popped on his feet. It was horrible. So you get, that's the other reason they invent this stuff is the people at Subway, what's your chance of getting hurt, you know? So if you want to see two things, like Subway has the Turbo Chef, and do you have Blimpie up here? No?
Blimpie's a Wisconsin company, did you know that? The daughter just took over as CEO.
Well, then there'll probably be a million of them, you know, so. But Blimpie does not have a quick oven. All they have is a panini grill. And they do what you were talking about, toasting buns. They'll either toast, if you want it toasted just on the inside, like they do at Subway where they open it, they'll throw the buns on there, you know, like he's talking with a piece of parchment paper. They just use a dirty grill. I mean, they just put them on there, you know. So I like your idea with the parchment paper. You keep the, you know, whatever. But most of it is that their subs are crunchy on the top and bottom. Like, what's that sandwich I was talking about before? Like a Cuban press is. And then it heats the meat and the cheese and everything from the top. So whenever I go there, I get ciabatta bread, and then I'll have like the BLT, and then they'll say, do you want it? They don't really call it toasted, they call it warmed up. But then it's crunchy on top and bottom. So back to your idea of getting into a little deli business, you know. So a lot of times those prep tables can be used both ways too. I mean, you got your pizza toppings on the top, but some of that stuff can cross over into some subs, you know. So you're using probably like burnt topping or pre-cooked sausage and stuff. So yeah, you can make a bunch of different subs out of those too.
There is a lot of, you know, so that your younger employees and team members are not using raw food. There is so much IQF product out there that's instant quality, quick frozen product that is really good stuff. It's fully cooked, there's no danger. you know, and we can put programs together using those fully cooked items so that you don't have that danger.
Also, the auto fry, besides when you're cleaning it, there is like no oil exposure.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why we
True
like the
that.
auto fry. You know, because when you do have teens cooking or whatever, you don't have to worry that someone's going to dump oil on their feet.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's your best option in bowling alleys and campgrounds and whatever. I mean, I think whoever thought that up was a genius, and I get it. But so on that end of thing, on frying that stuff, I believe that that's the best. The perfect fry is a little different than that.
It is,
You
yeah.
open the door and you can see the vat of oil.
Right.
So you,
Like that, mine dumps out.
Yeah.
Perfect fried dumps.
oh, it does, it dumps right out the,
Yep.
oh.
Yep.
Your products at the top, it puts it in, it fries
Oh,
it, and it
okay,
dumps
so
it
they've
back
changed
over.
it since,
Yeah. It's
okay,
kind of the same, but just
same thing.
The perfect fry used to have a lift out basket. I mean,
Yeah.
at least at one point. When we looked at it.
They've made it more
The
like
only
an
advantage
auto
to
fry.
that was when they had that is that you could put a fish fillet in there. You could, because the vat was there.
Right.
You had the two little baskets, but you could put a bigger piece in there.
Right.
But now you put it in, push a button, and it goes down inside,
And it dumps out the bottom.
and it dumps out.
All right, we're at our timeline.
Okay. Yep.
Real quickly, I'm going to give you the menu for tonight, and I got to quick change clothes and go sweat like a fat guy in the kitchen. We're going to have pork tenderloin marinated in molasses and stone ground mustard. We're going to have cheeseburgers on a stick, and we're going to have chicken kebabs with country-style potato salad, pepper slaw. We're going to do a cheese and vegetable cascade waterfall for you with 3 different cheeses and just a couple vegetables for you healthier people. And we'll have 3 desserts for you tonight, a Rocky Road dessert, crumb cake, and a Sara Lee frosted brownie. Low calorie goodness.
Sounds amazing.
So
Thank you already.
we'll be there. I'll have a chef's coat on and I'll be the guy sweating really hard. So I may not be able to talk to you a whole lot there, but I do have an ice cream seminar here at 2 o'clock. So I hope to see some of you back for that. Rick, thank you for coming from Iowa, from our home base, and thank you all for coming today. We appreciate it very much.